So starting our first isometric drawing, we're going to create a cube. It's one of the most simple drawings we can do to illustrate the basic technique for isometric drawing. We will create an 8 by 8 by 8 cube. So that's 8 blocks wide by 8 blocks high and 8 blocks deep. First thing we're going to do is lay out our construction points. So I'll start with the bottom construction point and count 8 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that gives me the height. Then I will go to the right, off to the right, 30 degrees from the horizontal, like an isometric drawing does, and count 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that will give me the depth. And then I'll come back down, and I don't have to count this time. I can just line it up with the other point that started, and I have my face on the right side of the cube. Now I'm going to do the width. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'll count up, but I really don't need to. I'm just going to come over and look for the intersection of those two lines. And I have the width. So I have the depth and the width and the height. And it looks like I have one more construction point to put in the back. These are called construction points. Construction points are layout tools that help you create isometric drawings, or really any drawing for that matter. So I have my construction points down for my cube. I'm going to lay down my construction lines now. So that's pretty easy. And you'll notice that I'm just doing a light construction line that extends past the points. And I'll do all of my same angled lines at the same time because it's just easier and faster. And you'll see that I go ahead and create all of these construction lines. Next, I'm going to go the other direction. And these construction lines help out more when you're drawing shapes that have more sides or more edges and more angles and more other shapes that are inside of that actual cube. And we call this boxing out sometimes. So I have my isometric cube, and I'm connecting all my dots here to create my construction lines all around. So I've got my construction lines and construction points created here. Now I need to go ahead and put my object lines in, which are the darkest lines. So I'll go ahead and take my pencil, and I like to go in just one direction and press down a little harder. And I don't scribble back and forth because sometimes that makes it a little messy looking. So I'll just go in one direction. And again, I'll do all the same ones at the same time, the same angles. And you'll notice when I put the object lines in like I'm putting in right now, these are going to be the visible edges of that object. So I won't make this back line here an object line because you would not be able to see it when you're looking at this from the front. So you'll notice it starts to take shape and form and appear more like a three-dimensional cube as I darken just the lines that will become what we call visible edges. And like I said, I like to do all one direction. It helps me, not being the best artist or drafts person, it helps me to actually just go in one direction and take my time. There's no hurry. That's the thing about this. There's no hurry. Just take your time and do nice, crisp, clean lines and darken it up. And notice we call this isometric sketching. If you want to do high quality isometric drawing, you would use a ruler, you would use drawing tools. You'll notice that I taped 2 of the corners down of this paper because that helps me by keeping the paper from moving while I'm drawing. You can do the same thing. It does help. It does keep the paper still, and it makes it a little bit easier to draw your lines. So here we go with our last object line, and you should be able to see the form of the isometric cube. Now, let's identify some measurements here that we know we're going to use in the future. We're just going to call this measurement the width. And I want you to label your cube with these as well. We're going to call this measurement from the front to the back the depth. And then this measurement from the bottom to the top, we're going to call the height. And these are our 3 principal measurements that we need to keep in mind when we're drawing isometrically.